The sun blazed over Ikoyi as Papa Fashla strolled along Glover Road, his simple anchor shirt clinging to his back. His walking stick tapped the pavement rhythmically. Though he lived in a grand house just 2 blocks away, he preferred the feel of the streets, where faces told stories. A black Lexus swerved around a pothole, flinging a wave of muddy water that drenched his trousers. The car screeched to a stop. Out stepped a woman in heels sharp enough to slice egos, Vanessa Otedela, Lagos socialite and Instagram darling. "Can't you watch where you walk, old man?" she snapped, fanning herself dramatically. Papa Fashla simply bowed his head, squeezing water from his wrapper. "Some things are cleaner than pride, madam." She scoffed and drove off. By the time he returned home, a sprawling compound veiled behind hibiscus hedges, his steward offered to help change him. Papa waved him off. In the quiet of his study, he pulled out a small journal labeled character above status. His son, Samuel, entered moments later, still in his firm's branded Agbada, laptop bag slung across his chest. "Another splash today?" he asked, eyeing the muddy hem. Papa Fashla smiled faintly. "I'm looking for someone who won't see mud when they see a man." Samuel sighed. "You and your tests." Papa leaned back. "A son with wealth needs more than fine suits. He needs a woman who can love him in sandals." Outside, the streets buzzed with horns and hurried lives. But within the mansion walls, a father's silent mission had just begun. The next day, Papa Fashla ventured to Mushin market. Amid the chorus of bargaining voices and sizzling akara, he navigated narrow paths lined with overflowing baskets of pepper and onions. Near his shopfront, a familiar voice pierced the air, sharp and impatient. "I said move. This isn't your farmland." Vanessa Otedela, sunglasses perched like a crown, was berating a trader for brushing past a designer purse. Papa Fashla, arms full of tomatoes, paused just as Vanessa turned and bumped into him. "You again!" she hissed. "Must I always find you where dirt lives?" Before Papa could respond, another voice broke in. "Madam, if you don't like the market, shop in Lekki," a woman said firmly. Amaka stood tall beside her vegetable stall, brows raised, eyes burning with defiance. Her wrapper was dusted with flour, her hands red from peeling beets. "Respect has nothing to do with money, and certainly nothing to do with noise," she added. Vanessa blinked, stunned. "Who are you?" "Just someone who believes elders shouldn't be insulted." Papa Fashla smiled inwardly. Vanessa, scowling, turned and strutted off into traffic. Afterward, Papa sat on a broken bench near Amaka's stall. She offered him puff-puff and cold sachet water. They spoke of crops, life, and Lagos heat. When she mentioned her dream of a small garden behind the buka, Papa's eyes lit up. "I know a quiet place in Yaba," he said. "Sunlight's good, soil's gentle." She laughed. "A retired farmer in Ikoyi." "Something like that." As he rose to leave, she handed him a tiny plant in a reused tin can. "For tomorrow, we plant together." Papa Fashla walked back through Mushin with more than vegetables. He carried hope, in a can, in a voice, in a girl who saw worth where others saw rags. The next morning in Yaba, the air was thick with dew and promise. Behind a quiet buka, sunlight poured into a forgotten patch of land, red earth, stubborn weeds, and the scent of rain. Papa Fashla arrived in his worn slippers, a watering can in one hand, the plant Amaka gave him in the other. She was already there, sleeves rolled, digging with a rusted spoon. "You came," she smiled, wiping sweat from her brow. "I said we would plant," he replied. They worked in silence, humble, rhythmic. Papa shared stories of growing cassava with his late wife. Amaka told him about her parents in Abia and how selling vegetables kept their roof steady. Meanwhile, not far away, Samuel Fashla sat in traffic in his tinted Hilux, reviewing architectural blueprints. His driver took a wrong turn through Yaba. "Sir, small hold-up," the driver mumbled. As they crawled past the buka, Samuel caught sight of his father, stooped over, laughing with a young woman in stained jeans and sunlit joy. He blinked. Was that the same woman from the Mushin market? Later that evening at the Ikoyi mansion, Papa sat on the veranda sipping hibiscus tea. Samuel approached, puzzled. "You've been gardening in Yaba?" Papa nodded slowly. "With someone whose hands remind me of soil not shine. Samuel frowned. I saw her today. She's different. She sees with her spirit, not her status, Papa said. Remind you of anyone? Samuel went silent, then walked to his study. He pulled out his sketchbook, drawings of traditional Nigerian homes with courtyards and earth walls. That night, he added a new sketch, a garden bench shaded by papaw trees, with a girl sitting on one side, barefoot, smiling. Vanessa Otedola swept into the Fashiola mansion like a storm in silk. Her heels clicked against the marble floor as she adjusted her lace gown, unaware that the man she splashed days ago was the owner of the estate. Samuel greeted her politely in the foyer, but Papa Fashiola's footsteps soon echoed down the hallway. Her eyes narrowed when she saw him. You again? What are you doing in this house? Papa chuckled softly. I live here, my dear, and you're standing in my late wife's hibiscus garden. Vanessa's face drained. Wait, you're his father. Samuel looked away, embarrassed. Papa's voice was calm. You see, pride doesn't just blind, it exposes. With nothing left to prove, Vanessa turned sharply, her perfume trailing behind her as she left the house without another word. Later that evening, Samuel drove to Yaba. The garden behind the buka was blooming with soft green promise. Amaka sat under a papaw tree, notebook on her lap. I came to plant, he said. She looked up, surprised. You? He nodded, and maybe confess. They worked side by side, quiet at first. Then Samuel said, I'm Samuel Fashiola, architect, son of the man you defended. Amaka froze. You mean? I didn't lie. I just waited. My father wanted to see character before crowns. She stared at the soil. So this was all a test. No, the garden is real. The respect is real. What's growing here? He touched a budding okra leaf. Is real. Amaka's expression softened, but her voice stayed steady, then stopped speaking in riddles. Come back tomorrow, with truth, not titles. As he left, the streetlights of Yaba flickered on, casting long shadows behind him. Samuel didn't know it yet, but the roots of something lasting were already deep in the soil. The next morning, Amaka arrived at the Fashiola mansion, her anchor skirt neatly pressed, nose buried beneath her calm smile. She hadn't expected the gates to open for someone like her, but Papa Fashiola had personally invited her. She stepped into the sun-dappled courtyard, eyes tracing the orchids climbing the walls. It was beautiful, yes, but not intimidating. Not anymore. Papa met her by the stone bench, his carved walking stick resting beside him. You kept your word, he said warmly. I always do. They sat together. He handed her a weathered photo, him and his late wife, sitting beside a village farm in Oyo. I built all this, he gestured around, but my heart still lives in places like that. When I saw you speak up for an old man you didn't know, I saw her. Tears filled Amaka's eyes but did not fall. Just then, Samuel appeared, dressed in a plain white shirt and slippers, holding a small basket of okra from the Yaba garden. He sat beside them and turned to her. I don't want to hide behind gates. I want to build something real, with you. Amaka's lips parted in surprise as he reached into his shirt pocket and revealed a delicate gold ring within a dye-wrapped band. No titles, no performances, just a man asking a woman who brings peace, will you grow with me? For a moment, silence danced between them, soft as breeze. Then she took the ring and slipped it on herself. Only if we keep planting together. Papa Fashiola chuckled, leaning back. You both passed. Not my test. Life's. As the sun filtered through the trees, the bench beneath them held something more than weight. It held promise. Amaka returned to Mushin the next day, her new ring wrapped in a handkerchief, her heart still catching up to the moment. Her parents sat stunned as she told them everything, about the Fashiolas, the garden, the proposal. Her father, wiping his glasses, simply said, if he respects the soil you came from, then it's already planted well. Meanwhile, in a sleek penthouse on Banana Island, Vanessa Otedola raged. Her mascara smudged, her heels abandoned. She? That market girl, she hissed, pacing as her friend scrolled through Amaka's humble social media. No, never. She dialed a number. "Curtis, I need a favor." Curtis Okonkwo, sharp-shooted and sharper-tongued, had once been Samuel's classmate. Now, he dealt in damage. "I want something that ruins him," she said coldly. But Curtis knew better than to cross a man like Samuel without caution. He agreed to meet her in person, then called Samuel the moment the line went dead. "I know what she's planning," Curtis said, "but I don't owe her loyalty. I owe you truth." Later that night, Curtis arrived at the Fashler mansion. He handed Samuel a folder. Inside were fake invoices, Photoshop receipts, and a fake paternity claim Vanessa planned to leak. "She's ready to burn everything," Curtis warned. Samuel stayed quiet, eyes on the evidence. "I won't let her touch Amaka," he finally said. Outside, the wind stirred the hibiscus leaves. Inside, father and son prepared for war, not with fists or fire, but with facts, dignity, and a quiet resolve to protect what mattered. Amaka had stepped into their world with clean hands. Now Samuel would fight to make sure they stayed that way. The courtroom was air-conditioned silence and sharp suits. Journalists filled the benches, cameras flashing as the case, Otedola versus Fashler, began. Vanessa Otedola sat poised in a wine-colored dress, crocodile tears glinting beneath false lashes. Her lawyer accused Samuel of fraud, betrayal, and emotional manipulation of a vulnerable woman. But Samuel said nothing. Instead, Curtis Okonkwo stepped forward as a surprise witness. "I was hired by Miss Otedola," he stated, "paid to fabricate documents, leak lies, and destroy a man's name." Gasps echoed. Vanessa's face dropped, fury cracking her calm. The judge turned toward her sharply. "Miss Otedola, is this true?" She fumbled. "His lying. His bitter, jealous." But Curtis held up bank statements, audio clips, and screenshots of their messages. Every lie, catalogued, time-stamped, undeniable. The court buzzed. Vanessa's mask crumbled. The judge's gavel struck. "This case is dismissed. And you, Miss Otedola, are hereby referred for criminal investigation." Outside, flashing bulbs captured Vanessa being led away. Her pride, once unshakable, now shattered beneath her heels. Samuel stepped into the sunlight, face calm, shoot untouched by the chaos behind him. Amaka was waiting near the courthouse garden, hands clasped. "It's over?" she asked. He nodded. "She's gone." She placed her hand in his. "Then let's not speak her name again. Only what we grow next." They walked down the courthouse steps, side by side, not as victim and defender, but as two people who chose honesty in a world obsessed with image. And somewhere beyond the noise of headlines, a quiet bench in Yaba waited beneath papaw trees, already blooming. The waves whispered gently along the white sands of Zanzibar. Palm trees bowed with the breeze, and lanterns floated like fireflies in the twilight. Amaka stood barefoot in a cream-colored wrapper dress, her hair crowned in coral beads. Her parents sat front row, tearful and proud. Across from them, Papa Fashler adjusted his cap, nodding as the sea wind lifted his agbada. Samuel waited beneath a floral arch of hibiscus and bougainvillea, dressed simply in ivory kaftan, barefoot like her. No gold, no grandeur, only heart. As she reached him, he whispered, "This is the first time I stood still in years." She smiled. "That's because you finally arrived." They exchanged vows written on scraps of garden paper, his ink with lines about humility and shelter, Hayes with words about soil, truth, and second chances. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Zanzibari drums broke the hush, and the guests clapped, danced, wept. Later that night, on a quiet bench overlooking the ocean, Amaka rested her head on Samuel's shoulder. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a tiny seed. "From the okra we planted," he said, "one for the future." "We'll need more soil," she teased. He smiled. "I bought a small plot in Yaba, just behind the buka." She laughed, soft and free. "Of course you did." The moon hung full over the ocean, and for once there was no test, no fight, no performance. Only two souls who had walked through mud, masks, and misunderstandings, and found something far greater than wealth. They found home.